Hello there and welcome to NTV at 1. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi with the latest at this hour. And the Jubilee Party is this afternoon expected to appraise the country on the raft of changes it's been effecting, especially in Parliament, with a probable fresh lineup for the party's National Management Committee and restructuring of the party organs. Our reporter Kennedy Mureithi is live at the party's headquarters. But first, let's listen in as the party's Secretary General is currently speaking.
Are required even in the High Court, so that we have, as complainants, to be able to satisfy him that our complaints have got merit. This morning we had one of the complainants against the 4 or the 5 nominated senators. The party had its complaints, but one of the accusers is Mr. Honorable Kangata, who is the chief whip. He did make his pleadings and presentations at the committee, at the session. If he wants to talk about that, he can talk about it. If he doesn't want, he'll talk about other issues. I think I'll leave it there. Let me ask Mr. Kangata to address you with some news also, which he wants to be able to discuss with you, to let you know, and then I'll come back and make the other announcements that you want to make. Thank you very much, Honorable.
Yeah, just 2 issues. Issue number 1 is just to inform Kenyans that today we had the first 3 hearings for the disciplinary committee against the nominated senators. Those cases were heard, the matters was closed, and the committee has retired to make a determination which will be communicated to the 3 senators. We shall get direction as to when those other 2 senators will also be heard. Now, I hereby want to inform the country we are now making changes in the Senate, and those changes will be communicated to the Speaker today. That is, changes in the composition of the various Senate committees. Change number 1 will be SBC. SBC, we are going to replace Senator Langat with Senator Sakaja. Change number 2 will be Powers and Privileges Committee. We are going to replace Senator Kangata myself with Senator Cheral K. Devolution Committee, we shall replace Senator Kenywa with Senator Murkomen. Education Committee, Senator Langat will be replaced by Senator Milgo. ICT Committee, we shall replace Senator Pogisio with Senator Kenywa. Jaila Committee, we shall replace Senator Cheral K with Senator Linturi. Also, Jailak, we shall replace Senator Cheral K and Senator Linturi with Senator Kindiki and Senator Langat. And CPAC, we shall replace Senator Linturi and Senator Dulo. Delegated legislation, we shall replace Senator Pogisio with Senator Linturi. The effect of this will be that Senator Kenywa will cease being the chairman of the Devolution Committee. Senator Linturi will cease from being a member of PAC and also a vice chair of Legal. Dr. Langat will also cease from being the chairman of Education Committee, and also Senator Cheral K will cease from being the chairman of Legal Committee. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. We'll give you a chance to ask all the questions when we are finished with the announcements. we just want to let you know the NMC, we did make our proposals as to who should be joining the NMC. We addressed our communication to the Registrar of Political Parties. We also put an announcement in the newspapers and gave 14 days for those who have got any objections to send them to the party, so that our own internal party mechanism may be able to address any issues. Under the chairmanship of our chairman and an ad hoc committee that was created to look at those complaints, the committee dismissed all the complaints that had been sent to the party with respect to those who were nominated for the NMC position. The main basis being that no single evidence was adduced against any of those who were proposed to join the NMC. Nothing on their character, nothing on their CVs, nothing that violated the law. Because if you say that so and so should not serve in this committee or should not serve in the NMC, none of those particular complaints addressed the problems that you may be able to say would stop those people in serving in the NMC. So last week, we already sent the communication to the Registrar of Political Parties that the NMC will remain as we proposed, and we have looked at the law. There's no need to gazette them anymore. We have dealt with our internal mechanism, and therefore they are members of the NMC. Another announcement I'd like to make is that the NMC will meet from tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock with the sole purpose of doing what the NMC is also supposed to do, is to prepare the agenda and the issues that will be addressed by the NEC. We hope to have a NEC meeting very soon. We are only waiting for the party leader to give us a time when he's available to be able to meet the NEC. So the NEC meeting can be any time from Thursday onwards. We will communicate to all members of the NEC. They'll all be invited. If anybody has got any objections to the actions that have been taken so far, then they'll be able to raise them at that NEC meeting. We're also going to have a parliamentary group meeting with respect to the National Assembly. We are working again on the appropriate date, which is acceptable to the party leader. And I want to make it very clear, very, very clear, that our party constitution will be adhered to. I want to make it also very clear that we are going to be not very merciful when it comes to the discipline in the party. In the past, we have been very generous to some of our members, some of them even using, without authority, the stationery of the party, not coming from this office, coming from wherever it is they're coming from, and expecting that we're going to allow that kind of dysfunction. I'm sorry, they are mistaken, and disciplinary action is going to be taken. But whatever disciplinary action the party takes, we want to assure Kenyans that we'll follow due process. We have a party disciplinary committee which is headed by somebody who qualifies to be a high court judge. We will take those matters to the disciplinary committee. We'll pursue them to their logical conclusion. Where we don't need the disciplinary committee and we only need the NEC to deal with it, we will deal with those errant members. When it is members of parliament, we expect 100% fidelity to the contract that they signed with the party. and we do have those contracts available for any inspection. They said when they were going for elections that they were going to do things according to the party. They were going to support the party. They hanged on the goodwill of the party to get their positions. For them to now change tact midstream is nothing but betrayal of the party. I want to thank you very much for your patience this morning. I'll take a couple of questions if there are any. If there aren't, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Question number one. My name is Burundi from NTV. You've spoken to those who have been using the party stationery outside the precincts of this building. And I know you're referring to your deputy.
That's what you know. I have not mentioned any names, but it's okay.
Is there any action disciplinary, because you say, using your words, that you're not going to take disciplinary issues lying down? Is it one of the issues that might even look into getting a disciplinary action from this committee, your deputy?
Well, as I mentioned to you, there are certain disciplinary committee issues which need to be referred to this committee. There are certain disciplinary actions that can be taken directly by the NEC. And there are certain disciplinary issues which can be taken directly by the party leader as is articulated in some of our articles, including Article 33 of our Constitution, which I would want some of you to look at, and also I would want you to look at, because it's online, so you can look at also the responsibilities of the Secretariat and the Office of the Secretary General and all other offices, so that there's no confusion as to where the lines of responsibilities lie.
Mr. SG, my name is Nashiri.
I know you very well, sir.
Yes, I also know you, sir.
Yes.
You stand accused personally and collectively with other members of the management of the party of targeting.
Right, you've been watching a live press conference there by the Jubilee Party Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, saying that they will not be merciful when it comes to party discipline. And when it comes to members of parliament, they expect 100% fidelity. There have been changes, and Senator Langat will be replaced with Senator Sakaja. There'll be changes at the Devolution Committee, the ICT Committee, also the Education Committee, and our reporter Kennedy Muredi will bring us all those details in our subsequent bulletin, so do be sure to stay with us. Elsewhere now, leaders from West Pokot County allied to Deputy President William Ruto are taking President Uhuru Kenyatta to task over what they say is his silence as Deputy President William Ruto's allies are targeted in the Senate and National Assembly politics. Well, while they hold that the handshake between President Uhuru and his ODM counterpart Raila Odinga was needed for the country to be peaceful, they argue that it should not in any way cause a strained relationship between the president and his deputy. The leaders say that the rising political temperatures being experienced in the country could lead to something else other than the unity that is intended to be achieved. At the same time, the leaders want the political wrangles in the Jubilee Party to be ignored and attention instead given to the myriad of serious issues facing the country, ranging from the COVID-19 pandemic to the floods and the locust invasion. Well, still on politics, and the long-drawn battle between Narok Senator Ledama Ole Kina and the ODM party seemed to have come to an end after the senator made peace with the party. Ole Kina, who had been stripped off his seat as chairman of the Senate Public Accounts and Investment Committee, agreed to drop a suit that he filed against the party over its decision to kick him out of the seat after meeting with ODM leader Raila Odinga. The senator, who was accompanied at the meeting by a section of Maasai, will now relinquish the chairperson of the committee, which had created a wedge between him and the party. Odinga further instructed ODM not to whip the senator, and the incident comes 2 weeks after Justice Weldon Korir of the High Court temporarily stopped Ole Kina's removal from the position after his party challenged his election. Elsewhere, politicians have been banned in Narok North following skirmishes that have left 6 people dead and more than 10 injured. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner has denied the inter-communal clashes were motivated by livestock theft and that the conflict has now taken a tribal angle. The area is currently experiencing a state of calm with more officers being deployed in the area. The government is looking into establishing more administrative stations in the expansive area.
Tungependa kuencourage watu wetu wakae pamoja. Hakuna haja kusema kwamba hii location ni ya Masai, hii location ni Wakalenjin, hii location hii constituency ni wa Masai, hii ni ya Wakalenjin. Hapana. Wacha tuangaliane kama Wakenya, tukae pamoja kama jamii moja. Yule ambaye anachagua kiongozi ambaye ni mzuri, anaweza kusavu watu wote. Usifikiri kwamba labda ukichagua mtu ambaye ni kabila lako ndiye atakuja kusaidia wewe kabisa. Wala ambao wanangangana kusema wanataka mtu wetu akuwe kiongozi, waulize wala ambao watu wao ni viongozi wamewasaidia namna gani kule Narok. Yeah. So lazima tuanze kufunguka akili. Haitakuwa kwamba sisi sasa ni kudeploy askari kila mahali ati watu askari wakae pale ndio watu wakae kwa amani. It's not possible that inapeana a very bad image. Ni kwamba mtu uelewi maslahi yako ni gani. Lazima kuja mwambie wewe ukikaa kwa amani, watoto wataenda kwa shule vizuri, utalima shamba lako, utafanya biashara, you gain more wakati kuna peace kuliko kama wakati kuna vita.
All right, the Nyayo Stadium is nearing completion, with the stadium set to be handed over to the Sports Kenya in 2 weeks' time. Now, Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed is at the Nyayo Stadium giving an update on the renovations as the country plans to host the World Continental Tour as the first event on the grounds in September once the stadium is reopened. Let's listen in.
Take place on the 11th of June. And I'm here with our athletes who will represent us in that virtual race. It will be virtual for everybody else, but for them it will be real. For them it will be real. They'll be here at Nyayo Stadium competing for an appearance fee. But actually it is an effort towards the struggle that we are facing right now against the pandemic. That's the contribution that they will be making to make sure that people don't forget about the wonders of athletics and the fact that Kenya is recognized as a sporting nation. And so they'll be here on the 11th for that championship. They will be, I want them to introduce themselves because there will be 5 Kenyans and 5 Norwegians. The Norwegians will be competing in Norway, in Oslo, and our athletes will be competing right here in Nyayo. So you'll all be invited to come and witness that event. We're very proud that we were the ones that were chosen and identified by Norway to participate in this memorial race. So again, a vote of confidence in our country, a vote of confidence I think in all of us in the way that we even carry sports news in this country, and of course our dedication and commitment to our sportsmen and women. So I want them to introduce themselves, and then I will say a few more words and leave.
Thank you very much, our CS. My name is Ledama Ole Kina, Commonwealth champion, and we are really happy that we have come back to our track again, and we actually praying God to this pandemic will end and then to come to our normal routine. So I think we are going to wait that race and compete. What is there is that we are just competing like the other races. So we are putting God first, and then going to compete with Norwegians. Those are the competitors. So although it's a bit tricky, a little bit, because they are high altitude here, and then
Right, you were listening to the Sports Cabinet Secretary just a few moments ago, Amina Mohammed, speaking live at the Nyayo National Stadium. NTV's Brian Otwal is on the ground, and he will bring us up to speed with everything that's been happening there in our later bulletins. Now, Nairobi Regional Commissioner Wilson Njenga has warned individuals not to donate food to the vulnerable without the approval of the National Emergency Fund. This is after some residents of Kikuyu in Kiambu County complained of being ill after consuming contaminated food that was allegedly given to them as donations. Speaking in Nairobi, the commissioner indicated that half the number of people who have tested positive in the country are from the Nairobi region. Now, 1,286 people have tested positive in the country, of whom 645 live within the Nairobi region.
Kuna wale wanatoa chakula in kind, na hiyo tunaweka kwa ile mitaa ambayo imekuwa identified na national administration inasaidia kusaidia wale ambao wako na hiyo chakula kupatia watu wetu. Lakini hivi karibu tumeona watu wanakuja bila kupitia hiyo mpango, na hiyo itakuwa hatari sana kwa wakazi wetu. Uliona jana ile ilianza pande za Kikuyu Central Region, ikakuja hapa pati ya Ndagoreti na pati ya Starehe kule South B. Watu wanapeana chakula bila kupitia hiyo mpangilio, na hiyo Wizara ya Afya imetangaza kama mtu wako na donation ipitie kwa hiyo fund, hiyo chakula itakaguliwa, alafu itapeanwa na sisi tukiwa national administration tuhakikishe kwamba mipangilio inafuatwa ile ya social distancing na kuhakikisha kwamba sheria zote zinafuatwa. Wakati tunaendelea kuhakikisha kwamba tunapigana na hili janga, na Nairobi ndio inaongoza, sababu kwa sasa kufikia jana jioni tuko na watu 645 wale infected. So sisi ndio tuko na ile idadi kubwa.
All right, at this point, we've got to take a break on NTV at 1. We'll be back in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Pembe Flour, your most trusted quality brand for over 3 decades, has a new look now. This new pack is available in all leading supermarkets and outlets. It's still the same flour. Great taste, so you can cook and bake all you love with Pembe Flour. Pembe yangu ni poa.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Sonadol Extra imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli kupambana haraka na maumivu ya kichwa, mwili na hata meno. Sonadol Extra, hakika maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Working from home? No problem. Fiber Home has you covered with the fastest and most reliable internet speeds. Get connected today. Kazi lazima iendelee.
Welcome back. Bahati Member of Parliament Kimani Ngunjiri is now calling for dialogue in the ruling party's differing factions following the Kiambu food donation saga, in which some of the recipients are alleged to have fallen ill from consuming the food. Speaking while defending the Deputy President, Ngunjiri says that it is time both the Tangatanga and Kielekwe factions of the ruling party put aside their differences for the common good of the Mwananchi.
Sasa wameona hiyo njia tena inawashinda. Sasa kuona inawashinda, sasa wameanza kuwekea watu sumu. Surely, and I'm asking this before my God in heaven, should we kill people because of 2022? Should we kill people kwa sababu ya deputy? Kwa sababu roho yake ni safi. Sasa hata ile mbuzi ilipeanwa juzi ya Waislamu. Pengine sasa utasikia siasa nyingine wakiweka mbuzi mashindano ndio watu waenda wapeane huko wasemekane ni ile ya DP. Surely, is that the way forward for our politics? How greedy are we? Kwa sababu ya siasa ya 2022.
Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has reiterated the government's preparedness to lift the curfew, urging players in the hotel industry and other sectors such as transport to get ready to return back to business. Elungata also maintained that COVID-19 regulations will still be affected as the government will continue fighting the pandemic.
Nafasi hii pia ningetaka kuwaomba sasa wenye mahoteli, kwa sababu wamekuwa na muda wa kuzirekebisha, waanze kuziandaa kupokea wageni wakati ambapo kulegezwa kwa haya makataa yatafikiwa. Tunaona kwamba kama vile rais alivyosema, hatuwezi kukaa katika kujifungia hii lockdown kwa siku zote. Siku zimekaribia ambapo sasa watu waanze kujiandaa. Ikifika tarehe hiyo ya kusema tumefungua nchi, basi wawe tayari kuanza kazi mara moja, kwa sababu ugonjwa huu utakuwa nasi. Jambo ambalo limebakia ni kwamba responsibility ya kujichunga itatoka kwa serikali kwenda kwa mwananchi.
Elsewhere, a section of traders in Kitui town have expressed fears of a cholera outbreak due to the filthy business environment they're operating in. This is after the business people were relocated from Kalundu Market to another location near the main dump site in the town. The relocation was aimed at reducing congestion in their market in the wake of the COVID-19 disease. But that has forced the traders to contend with the filthy and choking smell that dominates the air. The traders say they have no toilets and that poses them even more risks. The promise by the government to relocate them to safer grounds is yet to be realized, despite the availability of many open fields. Well, they now want authorities to speed up the process and move them to cleaner areas where they can conduct their business without the fear of an outbreak.
Tulihamishwa mahali iko na kingola, mahali takataka inatupwa, hata umbwa wamekufa, ng'ombe zikikufa zinatupwa hapa. Hii sehemu hakuna choo, hakuna mtu mahali anaweza njisaidia. Mtu anaenda hapa kando kando anakonjoa hapo. Hivyo ile shida tunapata hapa ni mingi njameni. Tunaomba serikali ituonee huruma, hata kama kuko na corona, kuko na magonjwa mengine inaweza huwa mara moja.
Naimiza serikali akuje atupime, hata sisi tujue hali yetu. Wenye wataenda quarantine, waende quarantine.
And the COVID-19 pandemic has had people seeking ways of coping in their day-to-day lives. 4-year-old Joy Jebuwot found the break from school best fit to learn the Kalenjin cultural traditions. NTV's Nyayo Sampao has that report.
Joy Jebuwot is a PP1 pupil at Dream Schools in Mogotio, Baringo County. The 4-year-old girl has been an internet sensation after pictures of her rocking her traditional attire went viral. Joy left her parents' home in Ledama Ravine after schools were closed due to the coronavirus pandemic to spend time with her grandmother and learn life's invaluable lessons often not taught in class.
Because of the fear of COVID, we tend to restrict the children to the house, but it's very difficult. Trying to close them in the room, you find them, they've gone out.
At their rural home in Eminig Ward in Baringo, we find her dressed in her traditional clothes, helping her grandmother in house chores. She joined her teenage cousins in fetching firewood, cooking and preparing the gourd for storing the traditional milk, mursik.
Kuja kusaidia shosh, kuchuna kuni, na kuenda maji, na kuchunga mbuzi.
Life in Baringo has often been marked in blood and conflict, but Joy offers us a rare glimpse into the other chapter of the Baringo story.
Sometimes we hear so many things about our county, about the cattle raiding, about floods, droughts. We wanted to show people that apart from what those things you're seeing, there's another thing about us that you're not seeing.
Douglas Lagat, a photographer who captured the images that have since gone viral, says he wanted to showcase yet another of Baringo's gems.
Hata ukipiga watu wengine picha, unapata amepose pale kando kama msichana mkubwa sana. You can think she is like 24.
Let us teach our children our culture, so that they may know
how the culture is. They may know how to help their parents, and also they may learn a lot of traditions.
Although her parents were at first concerned after the pictures going viral, they say they have learned an important lesson. Nyayo Sampao, NTV.
What a great story and a great use of time as well. All right, now we turn to Kilifi, and that county may suffer a food shortage after farmers said the coronavirus has affected farmers in the county. They say the guidelines on social distancing set out by the government has restricted operations in the farms, which are experiencing labour constraints. The farmers say the restriction of movement in and out of the 3 coastal counties of Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale has also limited access to markets and other sources of labour. Some of the farmers now say they've lost hope in producing enough crops in the coming months. Kilifi County Agriculture Chief Officer Frederick Kaingu says that the county had adopted mechanised farming to address the situation. The county government currently has 53 tractors, but farmers are charged 1,000 shillings per acre to use them.
Changamoto kubwa ni kuwa tuliweza kukaa muda mrefu bila kupata hii trakta kwa sababu trakta zenyewe Kilifi ni kidogo. Kwa hivyo kipindi sisi tuipate huku mitangoni imechukua muda mrefu. Lakini tunawaomba kama county muweze kuongeza hizo tractors ili wakulima wakaweze kusaidika zaidi kwa wakati mzuri.
Kilifi iko na potential ya kukuza chakula hata kama Kitale kule. Area kama hii yangu Mnarani ward hapa huwa kunapitia mvua karibu mara 3, na tukizingatia kwamba kila wakati tunalima, hii mambo ya uhaba wa chakula hapa tutaipoteza.
Kilifi County we have been using the hoe, the traditional hoe. But you realize that to use a traditional hoe to open up 1 acre will take you more than 20 people in the whole day to open this acre. But you realize that with the use of tractor, a tractor can be able to use just 1 day to open up 8 acres of land.
Well, efforts to contain the spread of the COVID-19 in Kirinyaga County received a boost with the extensive fumigation of the Kerugoya police station. Among the areas fumigated, were the police male and female holding cells, police vehicles and offices used by both the county and divisional officers. The exercise was informed by the high number of people served by the station, placing it at a higher risk of exposure to the virus. The fumigation was made possible by a donation from the Transportation SACCO. The Sub-County Police Commander says the police stations have been overlooked in the efforts to tackle the virus, yet they are amongst the most at risk. The commander says the stations have been arresting people from all walks of life, raising the risk of spreading the virus.
Police station kwa sababu ni mahali ambapo kuna a lot of activities. Watu wanakuja kila wakati, wakija wakitoka. And we have seen there might be a threat.
Mimi nikihesabu tunaweza receive watu karibu 1000 plus. Na kama mtu mmoja ataingia hapa na hiyo ugonjwa, itabidi sisi yote tufunge the police station.
Now, Form 1 student from Chandira in Molo sub-county has been found defiled and murdered. The suspect in the case has also been lynched by angry residents of the area. The 14-year-old girl had been attacked by a man allegedly known to her, according to the Molo police commander.
The discovery of the body of the Form 1 student has brought this village to a standstill. The 14-year-old had been defiled before being brutally murdered. She had left her home to fetch firewood in a forest when she met her gruesome death.
Wakati walikuwa anarudi karibu kutokea msitu, ndivyo muuaji alipotokea mbele yao akawatawanya, na wakati walitawanyika alifuata msichana wangu ambapo alimfanyia unyama.
It is believed that the suspect who committed the crime, about 4 kilometers away from the deceased home, was well known to the residents and the family of the girl. He was attacked and lynched by the public.
They were very furious because they had known the person. They went looking for him, and when they caught up with him, he was reached by the members of public.
The area police commander has urged members of the public to desist from taking the law in their hands. The two bodies were moved to Molo Sub-County Hospital. Hospital mortuary. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
All right, now cases of waterborne diseases are expected to reduce drastically in Kirinyaga County following the construction of a 2 billion shilling sewerage system in the county. The project, expected to serve Kerugoya Kutus areas, has been sponsored by the African Development Bank. The project, that's set to be completed in the next 8 months, will see towns such as Kagumo, Kerugoya, Kutus and Kirinyaga connected to the sewer system. It is expected to alleviate the waste disposal challenges in parts of the county's towns. Residents have been channeling their waste into rivers, River Thiba and Nyamindi, polluting the water that's then consumed further downstream, leading to the spread of waterborne diseases in areas like Moya.
Itatusaidia kama wana Kirinyaga kwa mambo ya usafi, tena italetea vijana wa Kirinyaga ajira. Juu hii project nimesikia 80% itapea kazi watu wa Kirinyaga, na hiyo ni kitu muhimu sana.
Now, multi-agency special operation team in Isiolo nabbed 2 GSU officers who used a police vehicle to traffic 12 sacks of bang weighing approximately 600 kilograms and with a street value of 15 million shillings. Acting on a tip-off from the public, the vehicle was intercepted at Gotumeti Junction at Archer's Post. The police Land Cruiser is attached to the GSU Mariera camp in Igembe Central in Meru County. The occupants were a police constable and a sergeant who was armed with a rifle with 27 rounds of ammunition. Each of the 12 sacks was stashed with 8 small bales. The police also impounded a black Prado, also in Isiolo town, which was carrying 21 small bales of bang, and arrested its 3 occupants. The 5 were held at the Isiolo police station and are awaiting an appearance in court. Elsewhere now, and youth interested in artwork will now have a chance to utilize their full potential in illustrating the COVID-19 phase and changing times. In the process, educate masses through art. This is after the Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Kenya, in collaboration with the University of Nairobi and East African Cartoonists Society, launched the virtual African Cartoon Festival that aims at highlighting the current and most challenging global crisis facing the continent. Well, this is in a bid to avert the immediate effects and halt the pangs of this virus. This also aims at keeping the youth engaged and highlight practical home-built concepts that can be borrowed in addressing the spread and containment of COVID-19.
To utilize most effective tools that people have at hand and are more relatable, such as art. Through art, cartoon is one of those tools that is very helpful in raising public awareness, not only in a comical manner, but equally through educational lenses.
Art, as you know, has not been well exploited in the region, and this is a good way of investing in the future of our youth through exploitation of talents in art.
All right, let's cross the borders now, and Burundi's fiercely contested election has come to an end, and Evariste Ndayishimiye is now the president of the country. The election has, however, created tension between the ruling party and the opposition, with the latter citing allegations of gross electoral misconduct. The opposition now says they will challenge the results and file a lawsuit in 2 days' time.
Burundi's ruling party candidate Evariste Ndayishimiye yesterday emerged as the winner of the country's contentious general elections. Ndayishimiye won 68.72% of the vote, while opposition leader Agathon Rwasa only managed 24.19%. The opposition has, however, vowed to contest the results. 52-year-old Ndayishimiye is a former army general who was handpicked by the ruling CNDD-FDD party to replace President Pierre Nkurunziza, who has been in power since 2005 and whose final years in office have been racked with turmoil. Nkurunziza's third-term election run in 2015 sparked violence, which left at least 1,200 dead and pushed 400,000 to flee the country. Ndayishimiye is set to inherit a deeply isolated country under sanctions and cut off by foreign donors. Its economy and national psyche has been damaged by the years of political violence and human rights violations. The elections took place despite a warning from the World Health Organization against political rallies, which attract big crowds. This also saw Burundi expel WHO officials from the country over what they termed as interference. The spokesman from the National Freedom Council alleged that the stuffing of ballot boxes, proxy voting, intimidation, and said its polling agents were arrested or booted out during the voting and counting, which they intend to take to court to investigate.
Now, the World Health Organization has temporarily suspended clinical trials of hydroxychloroquine as a potential treatment for the coronavirus. The WHO says this is a precautionary measure. The decision came after the publication last week of a study at Lancet indicating that using the drug on COVID-19 patients could increase their likelihood of dying. Well, this after governments around the world began buying the drug in bulk after a section of public figures, including US President Donald Trump, recommended the drug to treat mild COVID-19 cases. The WHO has urged countries to remain on high alert even if they have seen a decline in cases.
In many countries, it has shown that after a certain number of cases, after a certain threshold, it moves like a bushfire, exponential. It did it in China, in Wuhan. It did it in many European countries. And it's doing it now in, as you said, in Brazil. It really moves fast. That's why we need to do everything to slow it. And the slowing is mainly in the social measures, social distancing measures that we take, and they have to be as really aggressive as possible.
Well, after spending months in a Madrid hospital, a 71-year-old woman has managed to combat the coronavirus. The disease took a crippling toll on her body, leaving her unable to perform the tasks that you and I may take for granted, such as sitting, eating, and even speaking. The woman, identified as Rosa Maria Fernandez, is, however, celebrating the small victories and the strides that she's making to restore her life and her health after COVID-19.
At Gregorio Maranon Hospital, Rosa Maria Fernandez sits in her hospital bed, comprehending the close shave she had with death after she tested positive for the coronavirus. The 71-year-old is among the 235,000 cases reported in the country. She says that she has had to restart her life again by learning how to speak, walk, and even use cutlery. The medics at the hospital constantly help Rosa, as she only emerged out of the intensive care unit a week ago. She then had to go through extensive rehabilitation, which has enabled her to be able to sit up on her own and eat again. The World Health Organization has reiterated that the elderly are at a higher risk of severe disease following the coronavirus. And while Rosa does paint the picture on just how grave the effects can be, she continues to exhibit her fighting spirit. Rosa further states that the angel of death passed her by, but she counts herself lucky and is amazed at her progress of being able to communicate with others, something which she took for granted before the virus impacted her.
What a fighter. At this point, we leave it on NTV at 1. Thanks so much for watching. Do join the teams in our subsequent bulletins. That's at 7 and 9 o'clock. Bye-bye for now.